Good evening. The time now is 11 p.m. Our top stories. Britain's new Prime Minister Rishi Sunak pledges to clean up mess left by Liz Truss. Ministry warns of stern action against those selling PERANTISISWA tablets. Plus, a political pundit said a Gabongan party Sarawak GPS representative as Deputy Prime Minister could expedite Sarawak's development progress. Hello there, you're now with me, Douglas Elliott, and this is TVS Nightline. We begin with our top story. Britain's new Prime Minister Rishi Sunak pledged on Tuesday to clean up the mess left by his predecessor and to restore faith in politics and tackle a profound economic crisis. Earlier today, King Charles welcomed Rishi Sunak during an audience at Buckingham Palace, where he was officially given the mandate as UK's new Prime Minister. Speaking in front of 10 Downing Street, the 42-year-old has been tasked with bringing an end to the infighting and feuding at Westminster.
I want to pay tribute to my predecessor, Liz Truss. She was not wrong to want to improve growth in this country, but some mistakes were made. Not born of ill will or bad intentions. Quite the opposite, in fact. But mistakes nonetheless. And I have been elected as leader of my party and your Prime Minister, in part, to fix them. I will place economic stability and confidence at the heart of this government's agenda. This will mean difficult decisions to come.
Sunak is expected to slash spending to plug an estimated £40 billion or the equivalent of 215 billion ringgit debt created by an economic slowdown, higher borrowing cost, and a 6-month program of support for people's energy bills. Sunak will also face growing calls for an election if he moves too far from the policy manifesto that elected the Conservative Party in 2019, when then leader Boris Johnson pledged to invest heavily in the country.
I will unite our country, not with words, but with action.
Sunak will now start forming his cabinet, with some Conservative lawmakers hoping he will include politicians from all wings of the party. Sunak, Britain's youngest Prime Minister for more than 200 years and its first British Asian leader, replaced Liz Truss, who resigned after 44 days following a mini-budget that sparked turmoil in financial markets. Communications and Multimedia Minister Tan Sri Anwar Musa today confirmed that there are cases of PERANTISISWA recipients selling their free tablets online, adding that stern action would be taken against those involved in selling the device. So far, there are 14 cases of sale of the tablets were reported nationwide, and the Ministry of Domestic Trade and Consumer Affairs is closely monitoring the development. On Monday, reports on students selling the PERANTISISWA tablets for a lower than the market price went viral on social media. Anwar said the act of selling the device was irresponsible and that the government viewed the matter seriously. He added the tablets given under the program had specific applications which made it possible for them to be tracked down. Anwar said KCOM is also looking into the possibility to implement a buyback policy for the recipients to sell their tablets back to the government should they no longer require them. The Keluarga Malaysia PERANTISISWA program is the Ministry of Communications and Multimedia's initiative to help the students and undergraduates from the B40 households. To further accelerate Sarawak's green energy agenda, State's Premier Dato' Petinggi Tan Sri Abang Johari Tun Openg has announced that Sarawak will be the first in the region to generate power from wind. Now, this is on top of Sarawak being the largest renewable energy provider in Malaysia, especially through its hydropower capability that caps at 20,000 megawatts. Hence, Abang Johari said Sarawak can play a leading role in accelerating the region's transition from non-renewable energy to renewable energy. During his keynote address during the Singapore International Energy Week on Tuesday, hydropower will be among the main engines for achieving the climate goal of a transition from carbon dioxide-producing electricity generation to carbon-free generation. Another major selling point for Sarawak-produced energy is its lowest average unsubsidized tariffs in Southeast Asia. This was due to the lower levelized cost of energy from hydropower that benefits Sarawak's domestic, industrial, as well as export customers by supplying them with one of the most competitive prices of energy in the region. With ASEAN's growing energy demand, Sarawak, through collaboration with other members of the ASEAN community, can achieve a resilient and sustainable energy future for the region. Apart from that, the Premier also stated that Sarawak's pursuit of renewable hydropower has allowed Sarawak to explore green hydrogen production and utility-scale offloading solar while embarking on research into microalgae for carbon capture, utilization and storage. At the same event, Abang Johari met with 4 Singapore ministries and companies to explore areas of cooperation in the sharing of resources towards the energy transition, climate change action, and carbon trading. The first meeting was with Total Energies, followed by a bilateral meeting with Singapore's second Minister of the Ministry of Trade and Industry. Afterward, the Premier met with Singapore's Minister of Sustainability and Environment, Grace Fu. In the later part of the afternoon, the Premier and his delegation held talks with SME Corps Industries Limited, followed by a meeting with Capel Corporation Limited to discuss collaboration on carbon trading. Gabungan Party Sarawak GPS on Tuesday insisted that the allocation and distribution of power to the Sarawak state government is more important than any offer of Deputy Prime Minister position at the federal level. Now, this follows the debate on the allocation of the post to the 2 Bornean states. Gabungan Party Sarawak GPS Secretary General Dato Sri Alexander Nantalingi said the Deputy Prime Minister position offered to Sabah and Sarawak might not make much of a difference, as efforts to develop the 2 states require more allocations and approval for development projects from the federal administration.
Saya ingat mungkin tak ada banyak beza. Yang penting bukan jawatan, yang penting kuasa, ya. Yang kalau ada kementerian-kementerian tertentu seperti mana sedia ada sekarang dan juga peruntukan diadakan, projek-projek pembangunan diluluskan, itu mungkin yang lebih penting daripada hanya jawatan. Sekiranya kalau ada jawatan itu nanti mestilah ada portfolio tertentu yang boleh beri keberkesanan kepada jawatan itu untuk kebaikan Sarawak dan Sabah.
At the same time, the Kapit incumbent welcomed the offer made by Barisan National Chairman Ahmad Zahid Hamidi on 3 Deputy Prime Minister posts to represent the Peninsula, Sabah and Sarawak if the coalition wins the 15th general election. When asked about the need to include the authority to appoint a Deputy Prime Minister from Sarawak and Sabah into BN manifesto, he said it was up to the leader of the coalition to determine in the election manifestos. Previously, the Premier of Sarawak, Dato' Petinggi Tan Sri Abang Johari Tun Openg, welcomed the proposal to appoint the Deputy Prime Ministers from Sabah and Sarawak. He hopes that the post comes with real power and not just a ceremonial post. Gabungan Party Sarawak GPS could expedite Sarawak's development progress by having its representative as Malaysia's number 2 leader, cementing the coalition's leadership capabilities and credentials in governance. Now, that's according to political analyst Dr. Awang Azman Awang Pawi.
Saya kira GPS mempunyai kelebihan apabila mereka menguasai kerajaan, menguasai parti dan menguasai natif rakyat. Jadi mereka lebih memahami apa isu-isu setempat yang perlu diselesaikan. Jadi dalam konteks ini, supaya suasana politik lebih harmoni, semua pihak, tak kira pembangkang ataupun kerajaan, kena bersama-sama untuk memastikan agenda pembangunan negeri Sarawak itu dapat dijalankan dengan lebih baik lagi. Kerana kelebihan kepada GPS yang menguasai jentera, yang menguasai perkara hingga ke aspek akar umbi rakyat di negeri Sarawak.
Hence, such an appointment could act as the catalyst for both Bornean states' growth and development. Additionally, he said the position of Deputy Prime Minister from Sabah and Sarawak would be able to give the people of both states recognition as a region being on par with the federal territory through the appointment. For the record, GPS sets a target to win all 31 parliamentary seats in the upcoming 15th general election. Undi 18 has become one of the most discussed topics in recent times, as it will be put into practice for the first time in the upcoming 15 general elections. Hence, Parti Pusaka Bumiputra Bersatu Secretary General Dato Sri Alexander Nantalinggi said the party will focus on developing new strategies to win votes from the group, especially when it concerns the appointment of Malaysia's next leader.
Kalau seseorang tu sekarang secara otomatis dah layak jadi pengundi, tapi abang dia, kakak dia, mak dia, ibu dia, bapa dia memang dah ada tempat di parti-parti tertentu, mereka memang ada dapat boleh mendorong pada dia supaya bersama mereka. Jadi saya tak risaulah. Ada orang kata ini undi 18 ni tidak akan menyokong GPS. Bagi saya mungkin tidak begitu, sebab mereka ni dari keluarga yang sudah juga menyokong GPS. Kalau saya boleh cakap tentang GPS lah.
Commenting on GPS's preparation in facing the election, Nanta said the party remains ever ready and is still riding on the same momentum from last year's state elections win. He pointed out that the new generation is expecting a responsible government that will ensure continuous development for the people of Sarawak in addition to more job opportunities.
Still to come after the break, Prison Department refutes video recording of Najib in prison, and a woman with gun arrested outside of Indonesian Presidential Palace. All these and more on TVS Nightline.
Cara dan style yang tersendiri.
Betul kita kacak.
Awak tak dapat pegang pitching yang sebetulnya.
Confident. Kami suka. Dia macam ada satu gangguan.
Saya dapat merasai apa yang awak lalui. Cara dan style yang tersendiri.
Betul kita kacak.
Awak tak dapat pegang pitching yang sebetulnya.
Confident. Kami suka. Dia macam ada satu gangguan.
Saya dapat merasai apa yang awak lalui. Cara dan style yang tersendiri.
Betul kita kacak.
Awak tak dapat pegang pitching yang sebetulnya.
Welcome back. A total of 9 individuals were sworn in as political secretaries to the Premier of Sarawak, witnessed by the Deputy Premier, Dato' Amar Douglas Uga Umbas, at Wisma Bapa Malaysia on Tuesday. 7 were reappointed, while 2 others are new faces, namely Sim Laya from Progressive Democratic Party PDP and Abang Abdul Aziz Abang Draub from Parti Pusaka Bumiputra Bersatu PBB.
Laya was a candidate for Gabungan Parti Sarawak GPS in Baklalan during last year's state election, while Aziz is the son of former State Assistant Minister Datuk Dr. Abang Draub Zamahari Abang Zen. Reappointed secretaries include Petrus Igat Matthias, Michael Mujah Lihan, Charles Balan Seling, Tapah Ana Atta, Buang Bol Hassan and John Nigor from PBB, and Fung Kok Shun alias Brian Fung from PDP. Also present during the ceremony were State Legislative Assembly Dun Speaker Dato' Ahmad Tan Sri Muhammad Asfia Awang Nasa and Caretaker Minister of Domestic Trade and Consumer Affairs Dato' Sri Alexander Nantalinggi, who is also PBB and Gabungan Parti Sarawak GPS's Secretary General. Deputy Minister of Public Health and Housing, Dato' Dr. Penguang Manggil, Deputy Minister in the Premier's Department for Labour, Immigration and Project Monitoring, Dato' Jerawat Kala, Deputy Minister of Infrastructure Development, Insinyur Aidil Laribu, and Chief Political Secretary to the Premier of Sarawak, Fazruddin Abdul Rahman, were also in attendance.
Equitable and transparent health policies are needed to bridge the gaps in the global system for governing preparedness and responses to the pandemics. Caretaker Health Minister Khairi Jamaluddin said behavioral science has been an integral part of the region's success in controlling the COVID-19 pandemic. Thus, he said a resolution on behavioral science for better health will be proposed by the Health Ministry at the World Health Organization WHO Executive Board in January, as well as the 76th World Health Assembly in May 2023. Speaking at the 73rd session of the Regional Committee meeting for the Western Pacific in the Philippines on Tuesday, Khairi said Malaysia advocated for the shift from a disease-oriented model to a person-centered wellness approach that involves the entire government and society working together, as was embedded in the Health White Paper for Malaysia Healthcare Reform Planning. Emphasizing that healthcare alone cannot succeed in a silo, Khairi said socioeconomic conditions that would enable people to remain healthy must be created, from poverty, education, housing, nutrition, planetary health, and much more. In addition, he said the country is shifting its focus to intensify non-communicable disease prevention, as the country is facing a double burden of health issues related to the usage of conventional and electronic cigarettes among its population. Khairi added that Malaysia is also committed to addressing society's mental health burden with a recently launched National Centre of Excellence for Mental Health, which would integrate public, private and non-governmental actions to enable sharing of resources of mental health experts. Now, the Prisons Department has turned down rumours that a video recording had been made by any media agency involving former Prime Minister Dato' Sri Najib Tun Razak in prison. The statement was issued following Najib's appearance on a television channel that went viral on social media. According to the department, the video had been recorded earlier prior to Najib being sent to jail. The 24-minute documentary features a visit to the Sultan Abu Bakar Museum, the Sultan Abdullah Mosque Museum, and Belibis Cafe in Pekan, Pahang. In the clip, Najib, who is Pekan incumbent, appeared in the documentary telling the uniqueness and special features of Pekan. Najib is currently serving a 12-year jail sentence for misappropriating SRC International Sdn Bhd fund amounting to 42 million ringgit.
Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam. Awak datang ni nak apa?
Tadi dekat depan saya nampak ada tulis kerja kosong.
Ada bawa surat? Hei! Awak ingat saya ni tauki pajak gadai ke?
Alah cik, surat lain tak ada, ini je ada. Cantik rumah cik Rumah ni berapa ribu Nak jual tak?
RM30,000.
Tunggu saya masuk getaran jiwa dulu. Style yang tersendiri.
Don't give up, Kaca.
Awak tak dapat pegang kucing yang sebetulnya.
Confident. Kami suka. Tapi macam ada satu gangguan.
Saya dapat merasa apa yang awak lalui.
Membawakan perkembangan terkini pilihan raya umum Malaysia ke-15.
Kupasan dan analisis isu semasa bersama pakar tempatan.
Menampilkan tetamu jemputan dalam industri.
Mengangkat aspirasi rakyat, suara anda kami dengar.
Perbincangan kami bawakan hingga malam penentuan siapakah yang bakal dipilih Mentadbir Negara.
You're watching TVS Nightline. Indonesia authorities on Tuesday detained a woman carrying a gun outside the presidential palace in Jakarta. According to officials, the incident happened at about 7 a.m. local time. It is understood that the Indonesian President Joko Widodo was not in his office at the time of the incident. Local media reported the woman was in her 20s and had been apprehended by security officers after brandishing a gun near the palace.
Mengenai isu wanita yang mencoba menerobos ke wilayah istana. Berhasil kita cegah, situasi tetap kondusif. Saya selaku Kapolda mengapresiasi kepada Pas Pampres dan anggota polisi lalu lintas yang bisa menindak tanpa ada korban.
Police said the woman was now being questioned, but it was not immediately clear what her motive was or how she had obtained the weapon. Last year, Indonesian police shot dead a woman who had opened fire on officers at the National Police Headquarters in Jakarta. Still in Indonesia, as 14 people died after an Indonesian boat caught fire while at sea near the province of East Nusa Tenggara on Monday. Rescue officials said the rescue operation continued and at least 312 people have been rescued alive, updating the figure from the previous 240.
Videos released by the local search and rescue agency showed rescuers pulling people, including an infant and children, out of the choppy sea. Authorities could not immediately determine why the ship caught on fire and the purpose of the journey, but an official at the local transportation agency was quoted by state news agency Antara as saying the ship was fit to sail.
Sheep replaced cars on the streets of Madrid on Sunday, as shepherds led their flocks through the center of the Spanish capital, following ancient herding routes. Locals and tourists lined the route and watched as thousands of sheep were herded through the city, the bells around their necks tolling a soundtrack to the centuries-old tradition.
Reivindicamos en primer lugar las cañadas reales, que es su patrimonio de los ganaderos de España, que tenemos derecho a transitar por la amplia red que une España de norte a sur, de este a oeste. Y aparte de reivindicarla para nosotros, la reivindicamos como camino verde, como medio, como forma de potenciar la vida en los pueblos.
Just a few centuries ago, the route would have taken them through quiet countryside, but today it has them traverse some of the busiest streets of the city. Many onlookers were surprised by the unexpected sight in a city usually thronged with traffic.
I thought it was such a wonderful experience. I thought it was crazy that there were so many sheep. I've never seen anything like it, and I thought it was a great way to learn about Spanish history and Spanish culture as well.
The annual event, which started in 1994, allows shepherds to use traditional routes to herd their livestock from northern Spain to more southerly pastures for winter grazing.
Watch TVS's new reality program Getaran Jiwa every Friday, beginning with the Baran Jiwa capsule at 7:30 p.m., followed by Getaran Jiwa live at 8:45 p.m. The public is also invited to watch the concert live at MBK's Stadium in Bintawa. Now, for more information, follow Getaran Jiwa official social media page on Facebook and Instagram. See the world closer with TVS as we bring you the latest news update, both locally and internationally. More headlines anytime at tvstv.my or follow us on our social media. And that's all the time we have for TVS Nightline. My name is Douglas Elliott. Thank you for watching.
Ikan pedas hazardous.